Imagine a world where French soldiers march through the streets of London, the Union Jack replaced by the tricolour, and the British Empire never becomes a global superpower. This isn't fantasy, it was almost reality. Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who conquered Europe, spent years plotting to invade Britain. But what if he'd succeeded? Let's rewrite history. By 1805, Napoleon dominated continental Europe. Britain remained his greatest enemy, funding coalitions against him and blockading French ports. His plan? Launch a fleet across the English Channel, land 150,000 troops in Kent, and crush Britain in a lightning strike. Historians call it the Armée d'Angleterre project, but the British Royal Navy destroyed his fleet at Trafalgar, ending the threat. Yet what if the French had avoided that disaster? What if Napoleon's barges actually reached British shores? Let's start with a single change. Napoleon's navy evades Admiral Nelson at Trafalgar. French and Spanish ships keep control of the channel long enough for the invasion barges to cross. Thousands of battle-hardened French troops land near Dover. The British militia, outnumbered and unprepared, retreats. Napoleon marches toward London, mirroring his rapid campaigns in Europe. Panic spreads. The government flees to Scotland. Within weeks, Britain surrenders. But the real shockwave isn't the fall of London, it's what happens next. With Britain defeated, Napoleon turns his full attention to Europe. No more British gold funding Austria, Prussia, or Russia. No Royal Navy to rescue Portugal or harass French colonies. The Continental system, Napoleon's embargo against British trade, becomes absolute. Europe's economies pivot entirely to France. German states Italy and Spain are reshaped into loyal satellites. Russia, isolated and vulnerable, might never challenge Napoleon, avoiding the disastrous 1812 invasion. The French Empire becomes a permanent superpower, stretching from Lisbon to Moscow. But here's the twist. Napoleon's victory in Britain could also spark unintended rebellions. Irish Republicans, long oppressed by British rule, might ally with France to declare independence. Scotland too could revolt, fracturing the United Kingdom forever. No British Empire means no Victorian era of colonization. India remains a patchwork of princely states, never fully unified under the Raj. The French, Dutch, or even Russians fill the power vacuum in Asia. Australia, without British convict colonies, it might stay a sparsely populated outpost. In North America, the U.S. expands unchecked. No War of 1812, no Canadian border disputes. But there's a catch. Napoleon's Louisiana Territory. If he keeps it instead of selling it to the U.S., America's westward expansion halts at the Mississippi. The map of the modern world is unrecognizable. Language, law, and culture shift. French replaces English as the global lingua franca. Napoleonic legal codes spread from Dublin to Delhi. The Industrial Revolution, originally driven by British coal and steam, might center on France instead. Paris becomes the capital of science and finance. But resistance simmers. British guerrillas, like the Spanish partisans, could wage a brutal underground war. Meanwhile, the US, no longer tied to British trade, might ally with France, or become its rival. Would Napoleon's empire have collapsed under its own weight, or would French ideals of revolution and meritocracy reshape the world? One thing's certain, without Britain as a counterbalance, the 19th century becomes a French century. The ripple effects touch every continent. So the next time you sip tea, watch a Hollywood movie, or cheer for democracy, ask yourself, how much of our world exists because Napoleon failed to cross a tiny stretch of water? History isn't just about what happened, it's about the fragile moments that decided everything.
This is Bytes of Goats, where we don't just talk about history, we learn from it. See you in the next one.